The crystalline spires of the Vex Tharan Royal Medical Center sparkled under the twin suns of Proxima Centauri b, their surfaces reflecting a kaleidoscope of colors across the pristine white walls. Inside, the finest medical minds from across 17 star systems had gathered, all attempting to solve what had become known as the Royal Dilemma. Princess Zirathan, heir to the Vex Tharan Empire, lay in stasis, her iridescent scales dulled by illness. The royal physicians had exhausted every known treatment in their considerable arsenal, yet the mysterious affliction continued to spread through her system, turning her typically brilliant bioluminescent patterns into fading shadows. Dr. Sarah Chen stood out among the assembled alien specialists, not just because she was human, but because she was the only one wearing simple scrubs instead of ceremonial medical robes. The Earth Medical Corps had sent her as a courtesy, though nobody expected much from a species that had achieved faster than light travel barely 50 years ago. The princess's chromatophores are failing systematically, one of the royal physicians explained, their translator struggling with the complex medical terminology. Without them, her ability to regulate internal temperature and communicate through color patterns will cease. She will. The physician's own scales flickered with distress. She will become non-person. Sarah studied the medical holographs floating above the princess's stasis pod, her brown eyes narrowing as she noticed something familiar in the pattern of deterioration. "This reminds me of something we see on Earth," she said, pulling up her tablet. "May I?" The royal physicians exchanged doubtful looks, but nodded. Sarah interfaced her tablet with their system, pulling up comparative scans from Earth's medical database. "Look at this case from Singapore General Hospital. A human patient with autoimmune chromatophore syndrome. Different species, but the pattern of deterioration is nearly identical." "Impossible," one of the physicians scoffed, scales flickering with dismissal. "Humans don't have chromatophores." "No, but some of our marine animals do," Sarah explained, bringing up more images. "And we've spent centuries studying how these systems fail and how to treat them. The princess's condition looks remarkably similar to what we see in certain tropical fish species when they're exposed to specific bacterial toxins." The lead physician's scales shifted to a pattern, indicating skepticism tinged with desperate hope. "How would you treat this in your fish?" Sarah straightened, her voice steady and confident. "First, we need to identify the specific toxin. Your Highness," she addressed the king, who had been silently observing, "has the princess eaten anything unusual recently? Perhaps something from a newly discovered world?" The king's scales flickered with realization. The diplomatic feast on Nexus VII. She sampled their native aquatic delicacy. Sarah's fingers flew across her tablet. Nexus VII, primarily ocean world, recently joined the Galactic Alliance. Their native species would have evolved completely different defense mechanisms. She looked up at the assembled physicians. "I believe the princess has been inadvertently poisoned by a toxin her species never evolved to process." "But how do we treat it?" demanded the lead physician. "Our most advanced detoxification methods have failed." "Because you're trying to treat it like a Vex Tharan illness," Sarah explained. "We need to approach this like we would a case of marine toxicity on Earth." She pulled up a treatment protocol. "I can synthesize a modified version of an antitoxin we use for similar cases. We'll need to adjust it for Vex Tharan biology, but the basic principle should work." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity as Sarah worked with the Royal Pharmaceutical team to modify the Earth-based treatment. She insisted on testing each batch personally, much to the horror of the Royal Guards, before they finally achieved a version that matched Vex Tharan biochemistry. When they administered the treatment, the entire medical center held its breath. For the first few minutes, nothing seemed to change. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the princess's dulled scales began to brighten. Within an hour, faint patterns of color were once again rippling across her skin. Princess Zirathan awoke the next morning, her scales shimmering with their natural vibrancy. When she learned how she had been saved, she insisted on meeting the human medic personally. "Your method was unorthodox," the princess said, her scales displaying a pattern of gratitude and curiosity. "Most species would have given up when their advanced treatments failed. But you looked to your planet's simplest creatures for answers." Sarah smiled. "That's probably humanity's greatest strength, Your Highness. We never stopped learning from everything around us. Every creature on Earth, from the smallest bacteria to the largest whale, has taught us something valuable about survival and healing." The princess's scales rippled with emotion, a complex pattern that the translators couldn't quite capture, but the tears sliding down her iridescent cheeks spoke volumes. "The Vex Tharan Empire will not forget this debt," she declared. "From this day forward, Earth's medical knowledge will be given the same respect as our most advanced healing technologies." As Sarah prepared to return to Earth, she found herself surrounded by Vex Tharan medical students, all eager to learn about Earth's primitive but profound medical traditions. The incident became a turning point in human-alien medical relations, leading to the establishment of the first interstellar medical exchange program. Years later, when asked about the incident, Sarah would always say the same thing. "The universe is full of incredible advanced medical technology, but sometimes the best solutions come from simply paying attention to the lessons life has been teaching us all along." The story of the human medic who saved the alien princess became legend, not because of any advanced technology or supernatural ability, but because it perfectly exemplified humanity's unique approach to problem-solving, the willingness to learn from everything, regardless of how simple or primitive it might seem to others.